can't just get ulted by Jarvan and then chain CC'd off the back. Ryze comes in as a ban. I understand the power of Ryze Pantheon being very formidable, especially with the Enivia ban, but I also think that Ryze
would have been a bit of a trap, right?
Would have been a vulnerable target. And the Ryze has been struggling recently, even with the early success we saw from Ryze Pantheon. So I think for me, I would just go like something like the Aurora and just have the safety to get out of sticky situations.
Yep, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Gen.G with their opportunity now. See what Keen is going to be blind picking towards the top side of the map, especially with J-Spand. It does open the floor to a lot of different things. I hope it's not Nah. I imagine Chovy's just going to play Annie. I feel it. I know Aurora is often considered a counter pick into it, but I just have a feeling he's going to lock it anyway. As the Renekton, a consideration here. Blind Renekton is counterable, obviously, with that Nah that we were talking about before. Rich very happy to pick it.
Yeah.
But Keen just feels like he's going to be okay in the matchup regardless. And I think big bruises with a Seraphine are so strong.
It's a sort of comp you want where you can just buff them up. They have all that damage output, but given the additional
okay.
survivability.
That would have absolutely made sense, the Yasuo there.
And I think ultimately for KIWOOM DRX, probably just going to be the Nah. They could flex the Aurora up to the top, but it's likely just going to be the Nah into the Renekton. And it is that Annie you were talking about, despite the fact we typically see the Aurora picked into it. This gives a ton of engage to Gen.G, which is why I think it was even more important that Yukal was on a pick that has that extra element of safety. Otherwise, he would have just been a sit and duck if he played something like, I don't know, Victor here.
Yep.
It wasn't working yesterday, so it's cool to see it.
Ah, right, just absorbing. Well, let's go to the Rift now. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. G-Sun just gave me the great handoff in all caps. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, G-Sun. It was some of my best work, I thought. It did sound a little bit like I was just basically throwing it to the fan chants. It was a bit too vague. That's what, okay.
Yeah, that's some of the feedback.
I've been talking to Wadid a lot recently, okay? It's not my fault.
Well, actually, you should say, I've been talking to someone.
Oh, no. It is. It's contagious vagueness. That's what it's been dubbed. And it's something that we do have to watch out for here at the LCK. We apologize if there has been too much vagueness, but this is the thing that goes around. You know, it's like the flu, and we've all just caught the vagueness. And we all know who Subject Zero was when it comes to that.
Well, he did get help from someone else as well.
That is true. So maybe there's like Subject 0 and Subject 0.5.
Yeah.
That both exist, and then there's the rest of us. As already some laning has begun, and this is looking kind of like we were expecting. Just gonna be difficult.
Yeah, it feels bad on the Ezreal, who has such a strong level 1 to kind of get zoned out, but obviously Ashe is no slouch in the early levels.
It's pretty good.
It's just so consistent as well. The thing with Ezreal, if you have your Mystic Shot blocked by a minion or it misses, then the Ashe can just walk up and oil you down. Dura's doing a good job of getting poked down here, though.
And the problem is, there was Andal missing all of his buttons as well. And I think you do need to kind of land some of those if you do want to be able to stand toe-to-toe in lane.
Yeah, Lazyfield already cleansed.
Oh, good.
That's already on cooldown. And now Canyon's using this pressure they have in the bot lane to push forward and contest this blue buff.
You can see Willer is just going to have to watch him. Both of them have Smite, though. So we'll just have to see whether Willer can actually lock this one down. Looks like Canyon's just going to be annoying, as he will come back again.
He's kind of dragging Andal over here and forcing him to trying to help out his jungler, and this just means Lazyfield, who's already low on HP, is getting pressured more and more. Now, Willer's going to try and go for the blast steal.
This would actually waste a lot of time. As down it will go. That's going to be the Canyon steal. And well, who really stole it? Because I guess Canyon really did stake a claim, but it was in the enemy jungle. So it was almost Willer stealing away his own stuff. And
trying to steal away his own stuff.
Yeah.
The Canyon comes out ahead. And Lazyfield has to recoil. That's the thing, if you're under tower solo and you just don't have any pressure onto the Ashe, very easy for it just to keep volleying the Ezreal, who ended up getting chunked out. Does come back with a TN of refillable, which is an okay early buy for an Ezreal. But Renekton being on a little bit of a loss streak. And I will say a lot of those teams who've been losing on it are bottom of the table teams.
One of them was perfect, though.
Yeah, KT loss as well is a bit more surprising. I think we are seeing some of the shortcomings of Renekton, being that a lot of teams will be blinding him, and there are picks that give him a hard time. I think Gnar is honestly one that we know scales well into the later stages, but we've seen good Renektons still have that early pressure, as Keen is having now. And if you get momentum on the Renekton, he is very fearsome into the mid game.
Yep, can be quite scary, even in this particular matchup, as Duro does scare LazyFeel as he was hiding in that brush for quite some time. Andal going to make his way down. And it does seem...
Oh, did request this himself?
He might have. It did start off relatively well, but has since become a little bit of a problem. As Duro down to 50%, but Andal also only just making it back to lane and in a little bit of trouble. Ruler absorbs Mystic Shot with that barrier. It's going to help that health bar stay pretty comfortable. I was going to say healthy. Felt like it was the wrong word.
They're already pretty chunked out in this situation. And obviously there's sustain on the side of Gen G. Not a ton, but just with when Duro does have that stack passive with the W, it will help you just outmatch your opponents. Already the refillable charge is gone from LazyFeel and Andal.
Yeah, they're already a couple of waves behind.
Yeah, and Ruler having the Cole as well. Not just an investment, but the extra sustain that offers too makes it tricky. We do see Willer moving down towards the bot side again, but Canyon is just matching him.
Yeah, and Andal is in so much trouble. The heal has to come out one more time. There's a beat drop for the snare, and almost able to pick it up with a Q on Duro's side. Still, Willer's going to come on over and protect first blood at least. But still, I mean, it's not great news. Flash in from Keen. He's got the Dominus running, and the hop is going to be enough to get Rich out of dodge.
Yeah, wasn't able to get the full amount of damage down there to kill Rich. Was looking for an angle, but ends up just burning Flash. Is now stacked up, though. Could look for something here in a dive.
Yeah, no. And picks up turret aggro because Dominus was still running.
Yeah,
so
I think if you didn't get the tower aggro, maybe there's potential, but as soon as you got that early aggro, it was a no for Keen. So goes for the aggressive play, isn't rewarded, and now potentially a little bit vulnerable to a gank with a lack of Flash.
Yeah, both of our top laners actually going for a reset here as well. So it, in the end, will just be Rich has a summoner spell and Keen doesn't. So a bit of an advantage for the Gnar. Certainly going to be something Rich will be very happy with as Andal moves in, but Chovy looks very comfortable here in lane. And he is ahead by a very large margin. Chovying, if you will.
Yeah.
Hasn't necessarily been laning quite as well as he had in previous years earlier on in the LCK, but this is looking like a bit of a return to form for Chovy, who now does have a bear in hand. He's wondering when to drop it onto Yukal.
It will be soon. He will just drop the Tibbers on his head and do a ton of poke. That's just the way you play Annie.
Indeed.
Very unfun to be against.
Well, when does it get fun for KRX? That's sort of my question here, because I'm not seeing an angle.
Well,
maybe here.
They do have the Pantheon ult.
And that is what they're going to use to get towards this top side. Keen is in a world of trouble. Does avoid the house, but I think he just wants to try and clear whatever of the wave he can before he inevitably dies, and that is going to be first blood delivered to Rich on a silver platter.
Yeah, capitalizing on that lack of Flash for now.
Oh, Arrow misses kind of point blank here as they look for LazyFeel. There's a Cataclysm onto Andal as they change their minds. LazyFeel needs a few more autos from Ruler, and that is going to be Duro that finishes it off. Gen G do find the double in the bottom lane, even though it looked a little bit haphazard to begin with.
Yeah, it was a bit touch and go at points there, but ultimately the ult from Canyon comes in and manages to lock them in place. Here, though, this is really easy setup for KIWOOM DRX. No flash on Keen, Rich with the Mega Gnar to set it up, and as you said, Keen just kind of aware that he's not getting out of this, clears the wave up as much as possible before he goes down. But this bot dive is... You know, it's a good dodge on the Ash Arrow that comes in, and then Canyon ends up getting all the mobility from LazyFeel and trapping him in the Cataclysm. You see here, so he Arcane shifts there, and actually flashes later. And then tries to go for the kill onto Ruler. The tower damage is ramped up, but with so many flashes available, it's easy just to disengage from the situation.
Yeah, it was very weird, though, because I felt like Canyon walked in, missed everything, and then just cataclysmed them, and they died anyway.
Yeah, that was enough.
Yeah.
Pressure was already there, and I think a big thing was Andal just not able to connect. Going down pretty quickly. Didn't even use the flash in that situation.
A little bit unfortunate as Yukal tries to go between the worlds, but does immediately get stunned. Chovy still waiting for the bear to come back. And so is able to trade back quite nicely, but Yukal is still in a pretty good spot in this lane, despite the CS deficit. That margin has not changed too much.
I'm concerned about KIWOOM DRX, because obviously Willa got that first gank with the ult, but waiting till 6, and it's not that he hasn't looked for angles, but just he was matched by Canyon on that bot side consistently. And I think if you're into this Ashe Seraphine, so often we've seen the Ashe Seraphine struggle when it's on the receiving end of like level 3 ganks.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that this game. We didn't get that early disruption, putting the summoners on cooldown and putting more pressure down. And as a result, it's already a 1.5k gold lead for Gen G, less than 10 minutes into the game.
Which is kind of crazy given the fact that it was first blood going over to KIWOOM DRX. The immediate answer in that bot dive though from Gen G, really riding the ship on their side of things. And so the question now becomes, how does it become okay for KIWOOM DRX? Or is this just going to be the classic Gen G snowball into a victory, which I'm desperately hoping is not the case, because we need the home front to be fun next week, right? That's I think that's what everyone wants.
Well, there is the potential for snapping gauges onto the immobile bot lane of Gen G, so even if they're behind, it's not completely doomed, but it does get harder, significantly harder. So if I'm KIWOOM DRX, I'd be looking at Ruler specifically now, who is flashless. You have the setup from Aniko, you have the Pantheon as well. That's something you can look to punish and capitalize on, so we'll see if they're able to pull it off.
Oh, there's the encore. It's just going to interrupt the back, and down will go Andal. Yes, they had to invest a flash, but Andal is no longer.
Not sure how that really started. I mean, I know it started with the Ashe Arrow, but Andal has flash, has his clone that can block the Ashe Arrow. So getting caught out like that, not something you typically expect from a Nico.
And so here they are. He gets hit by an arrow. That's why.
I'm just surprised if it was his clone on cooldown. Maybe that's why Ruler went for it, because otherwise you'd think he'd use that to block the arrow.
Yes.
And if he doesn't have it, then I think you just flash. But I guess it was maybe like, hey, I'm not gonna die here. Ultimately goes down. And that's the second death in a row we've seen from Andal where that summoner remains unused. And that flash is maintained.
Well, at least he'll have it for a potential fight coming up.
Yeah, and now Duro is flashless. Ruler still doesn't have his up yet, so I really think KIWOOM DRX need to capitalize on this sooner rather than later.
We'll try and make something happen as Andal is disguised as Yukal for the moment. I don't think they're buying it at this stage as Chovy just dash cannons in. We'll be able to catch Yukal in the weirding and does get a nice bit of electrocute damage there. But we do have a Drake spawning in 3 seconds time. Double Dragon for Gen G is a big deal. Willa is down here to try and defend. Duro in a bit of an unfortunate position, but surround sound and a few extra buttons is going to keep him safe. And now the ulti to get on top of Chovy here. In comes Willa, but Chovy's sort of sussed it out a little bit early. And now Tibbers is just being annoying to the Pantheon. Keen is getting low here towards his top side with both top laners having teleport. Could be kind of a big deal as Rich really wants that hyper proc, but Keen should be able to just slice up this wave and does indeed do that.
Yeah, Keen still had ult and that on-demand extra HP makes it a little bit harder to go for a dive there. Chovy's looking for an angle here.
Now, Yukal goes between the worlds. They had an idea that he was here. As there's the flash in from Willa, flash out from Chovy as the teleport is coming through to try and back him up. In the meantime, Andal's dead yet again. But there's the flag and drag on top of Willa. Cataclysm onto Yukal, who gets out of it, but I don't think KIWOOM DRX is going to be too happy about this moment, as the Drake should be taken here as well. Keen finding Rich one more time, as Rich does hit Mega when he needs to, wallops Keen, and they will just wander back towards the top lane.
Yeah, so ultimately it's Gen G coming out ahead. They will get the Dragon on the back of this as well. Andal picked again on this Nico. And we'll see the replay here. So Andal just gets hit with the arrow. Ruler was out of vision briefly for that moment. Again, isn't able to block it with the clone. It doesn't flash. It just goes down once more. Really struggling so far on this Nico. 3 deaths in a row without using that summoner.
I think he needs to start flashing. That is absolutely true.
I feel like it might be that mindset of like, I'm saving it for a big ult, but if you die 3 times in a row...
Yeah, and it's also, you know, the game has been going for longer than that. As we've got a bit of a gank here towards Rich, who's extraordinarily dead.
That's a setup that this composition has. Not much ability to play when you get flash stunned and then the follow-up is there. There is so much snap engage from GenG that it means it's very hard to slow the pace of the game down. And they already have a 3,500 gold lead at 14 minutes, so... I don't think this game is going to get any easier for KIWOOM DRX at this point. I think they've missed the mark on what they wanted to achieve. It's a Hextech Soul that really doesn't help with the state of the game.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that meaningful because right now GenG are running away with it a little bit faster than perhaps a Soul is going to be relevant in.
It just kind of really puts a timer on it. I mean, KIWOOM DRX already kind of were playing against a timer, but now it's like you absolutely have to figure out, if not this next dragon, then, I mean, that makes it extremely difficult, but you absolutely, the 4th dragon, you can't give over. Oh. And I don't know if they're going to be ready by then.
Oh, God. Andil is dead again.
That's 4.
Still waiting for that flash to be used.
Yeah.
Someone needs to...
You know, at this point, if you didn't use it the first 3 times...
Maybe just save it for game 2.
Yeah.
That could be the way. I don't know what flashing would have necessarily done in that moment either, because he might have just been dead anyway.
I think it's just frustrating to see a Nico chain die like this, but I think GenG are doing a good job of punishing Andil and picking him off at any opportunity. Notice he also hasn't been able to finish his Rocket Belt yet, which is typically that extra tool that a Nico has to either... I mean, normally it's for engaging, but we've seen so many mids use it for disengaging, for safety.
Yep.
And I think some of these situations could have been circumvented without having to commit a flash.
Oh, arrow.
But just simply that Rocket Belt. We see there, Yukal, kind of what I was talking about in draft, the value of having the Aurora, where the Ash arrows just get fired at you. Unfortunately, though, still eats a bear.
Yeah. It was just a little bit more difficult to avoid that one. Both dash cannons are completed for both Yukal and Chovy. As Chovy is just going to pull back Tibbers, and Yukal is going to go back home. Yeah, this is looking a little bit dire for KIWOOM DRX. They're going to need something drastic. Perhaps a flash from the Nico. As, all right, Andil is going to enlist the help of Shelly.
The problem is now, the point I was talking about to look for the big engage was when Ruler and Duro both didn't have flashes. They're now back available, and if you go for a big engage on this 3rd dragon or on this Herald, and Ruler or Duro flash or engage, the fight is lost, and probably the game is just over at that point. So, ideally they try and force those summoners without it being a full 5v5. Like a low committal that just gets the bot lane sums would be ideal for KIWOOM DRX. And then you can start to really set up for fights on the back of those summoners being unavailable.
Yeah, find yourself a dragon fight. That would be optimal if they do have an advantage. But finding advantages like that in this game just seems a bridge too far. As I believe Yukal just got back here. And Chovy's looking for him once again. There's a dash cannon in, finds another bear. And there's a cheeky Q as well. Tibbers is just going to be annoying for a little while until he gets pulled back there by Chovy.
Chovy's just having so much pressure here, finding these great trades, using the Rocket Belt so fluidly with the rest of the kit to dodge away and then set up for that Tibbers coming in.
Has the largest gold lead in the game as well.
And you know what?
20+ CS lead.
Doesn't give over the free 50 gold.
He never does.
Yeah.
He's actually so good at protecting Tibbers or killing Tibbers with an enemy turret.
That's how you get a big gold lead like this. You don't just give your opponent 50 gold for free.
And there's a lot of players that could take a lot of that advice. You know, even like the people that just throw their maidens away.
That's the lesson you should take away. Not build Rocket Belt on every champion every game, which is the lesson some mid laners have taken from Chovy.
Indeed. And in fact, I think everyone has. That has certainly been a thing.
That's the most contagious thing that we've had, even more than the vagueness.
Oh, I don't know about that. I feel like the vagueness has been very contagious.
I feel like there's something else that is pretty contagious.
Oh, yeah? Rift Heralds?
I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Okay.
I'm going to continue being vague.
Oh, wait a second. I think the thing that's contagious is still the vagueness. I think it's just taken hold. Oh no, we've lost Orcs for a moment. As Andal goes in, he flashed! He used it! Duro took some damage. Ruler is also in a lot of trouble as Canyon goes in with a Cataclysm. Massive damage there. Lazyfield locks down the kill though, and now Rich is cleaning up. It is a double for Chovy though, who is starting to go ballistic in this fight. Finds a triple as he takes down the Aurora. And now there's an angry Crocodile chasing away this prehistoric Yordle, and Gen.G will still win the fight in the end.
Even though the initial engage...
They took your advice, Orcs, and it didn't work enough.
I think the problem is this is that full 5v5, so they commit for the engage. They still get onto Duro, but they don't instantly kill Ruler and Duro. They're able to put some damage back in return, and then Canyon finds this great engage that comes through. And the fact that Rich has to flash to finish off the enemy support, it just means that Chovy, Keen, and Canyon are unchecked in this fight. This is kind of what I mean, where like if they'd burnt the summoners before this fight, they could have just one-shot the bot lane and then still had the momentum in the fight. But I think they had to commit a bit too much, and they had no gas in the tank to deal with Chovy, Canyon, and Keen. Something to note is that the top side of Gen.G didn't even flash. They had more to offer in that fight and didn't even need it. I think that's the problem with going into these fights when your targets do have those summoners available, is that you just have to burn a bit too much. And Chovy is so fed now that he alone can be the DPS they need.
And he also hadn't actually gone back yet. So he went and cleared out top lane. I'm really scared about what he's going to be able to purchase, and that is a Magi's completed.
This is a speedy Annie with the upgraded Boots of Swiftness as well.
And yeah, the Magi's, as that gets stacked up, even faster. Goodness me. Okay, well, let's see what they can do about it. I mean, look, not to mention the Molten Shield.
That movement speed without the shield, just there, 453.
Yeah, he's booking it. There's a lot of Annies that go slower than that with the shield.
I feel like obviously a big thing with Annie is flash tibbers or the rocket belt tibbers, but when you can just
What about sprint tibbers?
Yeah, that's the game plan apparently. And with the Molten Shield as well, I can see a scenario Lazyfield Arcane shifts and Chovy is like, well, I'm closing the distance. I will just keep running. The Arcane shift over terrain, he just runs around it and he catches up to you anyway.
Yeah, no, it's like he Arcane shifts over, is like, oh, I made it out, and Chovy's already waiting there. All right, well, we got an ult in from Willa looking for an angle. Oh, the Encore was gorgeous there from Duro.
That was such a good disengage there from Willa and Duro to get out of that. Oh, there's the speedy Annie.
Chovy just teleported, or did he run? We're not entirely sure. It's one of the two. His teleport is on cooldown though, so perhaps that's a bit of a giveaway.
You know, especially with how they've changed teleport. Especially early game, it just kind of looked like they're walking over.
Yeah, I think prior to the upgrade, he'd probably run faster.
He probably would run faster.
Oh, that's ridiculous. He is 3,200 gold ahead. And yeah, the Annie, I was going to say he's a problem. I think, you know, there's some things that don't necessarily need saying, but yeah, he is.
6-0.
Yeah, it's
3,000 gold lead.
That's a big Annie.
Pretty far ahead. Everyone's ahead on Gen.G. It's an 8,000 gold lead overall. This game is getting into a bit of the done deal status. And also, it's 2 in a single dragon. So I was kind of talking about, okay, KIWOOM DRX need to figure out how we're going to be able to contest maybe the 3rd, but definitely the 4th dragon. Things have gotten significantly worse since that point.
Yeah.
Not better.
An example of it.
Yeah, this does look worse than earlier. And still, no Tibbers going to be picked up for you, Yukal.
And also, like, even more annoyingly, like, using the Molten Shield so he gets even more Tibbers annoying harass before he teleports back. Now he's using Tibbers as a ward. Oh, man. Chovy just split pushing with Reckless Abandon. We at least have some push from Rich towards his top side, but it's still Keen with a 900 gold lead. The game has kind of fallen apart here for KIWOOM DRX.
Oh, TP flank coming in.
All right.
No flash
and it's a double TP from what I'm seeing. Yeah, Rich and Yukal both turn up.
Oh, they could just Hex get out. They don't even need to.
Hang on. Arrow is going to sail away as Keen is possibly in some trouble here. Slices to get himself out of there. Canyon wanted to go in, but was spotted by the sweeper. Will escape instead. Thought that was a bit of an angle. Is now Keen looking to get on towards Rich here as the rest of KIWOOM DRX are looking to just take down this outer turret in the mid lane. There is bounty money up and available, so that trade is not actually that bad. But still, Gen.G are just going to break the inner turret and might just be able to take an inhibitor, which would mean getting the soul in 54 seconds would be a lot easier.
Yeah. someone does eventually need to
Yeah, if you don't,
bot lane.
it's like the ostrich thing, you know, like the hit, like it does still happen actually.
Maybe they're doing like
even if you're not
vague
watching.
shot calling, like they didn't say who should go
Oh
bot.
no, did they catch vagueness as well?
Yeah, they're like, someone should defend bot. They're like, yeah, someone should.
Oh well, it shouldn't have been Rich. As oh dear, Pantheon tried to go up and then went up a bit too far, you could say. Dear. This wait, hang on. This was set up so that they could get the Drake. Maybe it's set up so they can just win.
Yeah, they could just... I think this might be the limit of how far... No, I thought so. Maybe they're going to push further. The minion wave is dead. They'll just Hexgate out and go for the dragon.
There it is.
That's
all
team
5 of them.
hexgating.
That was very cool.
Man, Jace must make so much money on the back of that. Every time someone takes the Hexgate, you know, he gets royalties.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He takes a commission from every Hexgate?
He does. That's how it builds up. That's how he pays the bills.
Damn. There's someone in Zorn that's very upset about that.
As they should be. Rich just gets run down. Honestly, he was the person who took upon himself to defend. Someone needed to. Unfortunately, he didn't have a fun time of it. And I think this just kind of shows the difference in jungle strength right now. The second knockup was so nice to interrupt the ult.
Yeah, but also he waited just too long.
Yeah.
And then there was a second knockup.
Yeah. He wouldn't be able to do anything otherwise.
Yeah.
You know? I think he thought about it. He's like, oh, I know I can get out. And then...
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it went.
Oh,
and then he was dead.
Chovy's doing the thing. He's running at him. Look how fast he is.
Wait a second, and now he's got Hextech Soul as Lazyfield. He might almost just die to Tibbers. That's all right. Yukal's flashing for it. Chovy is going to flash away. Willa turns up as well. Let's see whether another Molten Shield is going to come out, but the Spear is going to land true. There's the Flash Pop Blossom that Andel's been looking for. And unfortunately, they just don't have any money. And so it doesn't mean anything at all. It's a double for Keen off the back end. And now Canyon is looking to punish Willa for killing the Annie. And Willer is going to eventually probably die, as we can cue some yakety sacks, but I don't think he's getting out of this Cataclysm, as Canyon will just finally, I think, take down this Pantheon. In the meantime, Lazyfield does the walk strategy to get out of the arrow, and the rest of Gen G are looking to push this one forward. Duro actually getting hurt by Lazyfield just a little bit here, but it's only the bottom lane that are up and available right now. 10 seconds approximately for Yukal, as there's a beautiful encore, and Lazyfield's going to go down even after the flash. The arrows were in the air, and they managed to find him. First Nexus turret goes down, and Gen G looking to put them out of their misery here in game number 1. An absolute demolition of KIWOOM DRX here, and Gen G looking absolutely fantastic to close out their round 1. Still, they're going to have to do it again in